Most people they see a couple of these dogs and they're terrified by something that large. But they're just big sweeties, aren't you? Yes. I'm Dick Morrison. I'm presently the president of the South Central Irish Wolfhound Club. One of our main goals is to rescue magnificent Irish Wolfhounds, which are one of the largest breeds that there are. They're large, they're sweet, they're just happy being them because nobody's as big as them. This is little Bridget. She's probably about 3. So she's slowly going into middle age. Oh, her life is awful day to day, like most of our rescues. She gets up from her bed. She gets to go outside, runs around for a minute. Happy girl. It's breakfast. This is for puppy. She will stand by the back door, leaping straight up, waiting for me to come and give her that. After that, they run around for a little bit outside, then, excuse me, it's time to come in and nap. I'll see you at dinner. It's hard to find homes for giants. People think they want them, and then they may get one, and it's, oh my, it's big. It eats a lot. It wants to lay on my couch. When you're in the rescue group, sometimes they're not like normal pets. They have some special needs. You never know whether they have heart conditions or any structural issues. She's small. This is as big as she's going to get. Malnourishment will do that to you. Although she appears fine here, if you're a stranger, you'll see her back up, even now that it's been over a year and a half. When they were young, they just didn't have any real human interaction, so, or the one they did wasn't good.
Details now on a huge animal rescue happening in Santa Fe.
100 dogs and other animals were rescued from
found living in deplorable conditions.
Authorities say many were emaciated, living without food or water, anemic and dehydrated.
More than 70 Irish wolfhounds in a massive house, including some to save the animals.
I had heard that he was very sick, and things may have gone terribly wrong in his kennel over the last 6 months to a year. But we didn't have a lot of specifics. We didn't know the conditions of the hounds, but we did know that it was a bad situation. We were mobilizing to go down to the Houston area to pick up these hounds when the news story broke and the seizure took place with the sheriff's office in Galveston.
Just off our account, we have 7 dogs in the first kennel, 4 dogs in the second kennel, 5 dogs, 2 dogs, 4 dogs, 5 dogs, 1 dog, 2 dogs in the 8, 5 dogs, 6 dogs, 3 puppies, 4 in the 12, 3, 4, 5 in the 15, 6 in the 16, 4 in the 17, 2 in the 18.
So let me start by saying the team is used to this, right? So they do this enough that we just know you're going to roll with the punches. It's hurry up and wait. It's, there never is it ever what you expect. But when you hear that you're talking about a large number of dogs, that's one thing. When you're talking about a large number of Irish wolfhounds, it's a whole different game.
And those are ticks.
Yeah.
Oxytocin is supposedly what he used to have her try to abort the puppies. The rabies vaccines, they can only be given by a licensed vet.
The APS worker had mentioned that there were some dogs were born and put in a closet and passed away, or something to that effect. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
He had a breeding, and the dog started having the babies, and she had the babies. I delivered 2 of the babies, and so I put them in a laundry basket, and I didn't know what happened to him. I went and opened his closet the next day, and all the dogs were in, the little puppies were in that basket, and they were all dead, and I guess he just put them in the trash. It's just little by little, and you let that slip and you let this slip, and pretty soon you're into, just a horrible, despicable, unspeakable situation. We rescue them with the intent of placing them in a good home, but they never get placed. I think Joe has some mental and emotional challenges. I think he's a hoarder. I think he's collected these animals, and all of this situation is completely out of hand.
These animals that you guys took, this didn't happen overnight. I'm talking 40 years. Joe was a narcissist, a hoarder, and he was really cruel.
It was a hot day. It was a really, really hot day, like boiling in the sun hot day. And just prepping for the crates, just prepping for transport. If that was all it was, would have been a project in and of itself. And then all of a sudden, the skies opened. And from the minute it started to rain, it didn't stop. We knew the dogs were in the back, and we knew that they were unsocial. But plan A is you walk in, you put a dog on a leash, and you walk it out. That wasn't going to happen here, never. This was never going to happen here. So plan B was, we're gonna go in, we're gonna get a dog on a leash, get it into a kennel, and then carry it out. Except they didn't want to have leashes on them. These dogs were amped up. They were terrified. We were in their area. They were, of course, at this point, soaking wet, just, adding to, and there's mud and slipperiness. And when we moved into the house, it's bad when ticks are crawling up walls in housing.
The Houston SPCA had a massive task force to go down and load the dogs, give them shots, and then move them to the SPCA. And this was going to go to the courts as far as who was going to ultimately get these dogs. Several days later, after the seizure, when we first went to Houston and saw the dogs that were in the hands of the SPCA, we found out that we couldn't get near a number of the hounds.
The dogs, I think, were probably starving for weeks. Most were underweight. We have no idea how many died while they were there. They didn't want people to touch them. They didn't want anything to do with people. They were afraid of people.
Some of the dogs had already died or been put to sleep due to their health conditions. They had pneumonia, severely emaciated, starved to death.
When we first got to Houston, the building was a large warehouse, probably 40,000 square feet. And they just had one massive set of kennels lined up. Hard to describe the roar if you were never there.
The first thing that you had to deal with was just the sound of barking dogs. They were all very thin and, for the most part, very timid. A few were outgoing and would come to the fronts of the runs to meet people. But for the most part, they hunkered down in the back of the kennel. They hid from people. Some of them hid behind the other dog in their kennel.
Just took a lot of work. There were a large group of devoted people in Houston who spent weeks, day after day, petting these dogs, going in backwards and slowly, over hours, getting near them, and still didn't touch them.
I don't think any of us knew quite what we were going to get into.
And I can't say enough about my volunteers. They do it for the hounds. We had to move very quickly. We had to do a lot of work. We spent hours and days assessing hounds. Over 800 people had volunteered services, money, foster, transport, food, just anything you can imagine.
For the dogs that needed to get out of their current facility, it's time to, move them out. And y'all didn't have a place to go at that point.
The Houston SPCA was wonderful and worked with us, but we did need to get them out of their facility. They didn't rush us unduly, but it was obvious that they needed the space for other things.
We were moving them from Houston SPCA out almost immediately once the court allowed it. There were dogs who went immediately up to the Rocky Mountain section. A quick 11 went there.
The Irish Wolfhound community really pulled together in a surprising way, I think. And the way people stepped up and worked together was just an amazing thing. These dogs went to the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest.
One made it as far as an airplane ride all the way to Alaska. And there was a group that moved to Prestonwood Kennels. Life was better. They were in their own building there.
I've never seen Irish Wolfhounds up close, except maybe at the dog show, and didn't pay a lot of attention to them. They're incredible animals, big and impressive. Once the dogs were released from the SPCA, they pretty much let us load the dogs.
Was that an easy task?
No. No, it was an undertaking. It took some tact, some strength. And remember, these dogs don't just get up and walk in the crate, and you just don't pick them up and put them in the crate. So it took several days.
Took a while. Most have found homes. There's still some that are still adjusting.
We will still have behavior issues. We will still have health issues. Some of these dogs may never leave foster care. They may belong to the Irish Wolfhound Club of America for the rest of their lives. When you start a process like this, there may never be an end to it.
From my perspective, this was gone into without a manual, without a how-to manual. And what you will probably come out of it is there will be a how-to manual.
They'll never be the type of dogs that are inclined to fetch and grab a toy. And so it takes a special person that can take on a dog that's this under-socialized and nurture something that big and see it through this process. So my hat has to go off to all of the adopters, all of the fosters.
No dog chooses to be under this type of situation, and all I can say is, if I can help in any way to place one more hound, that's one more hound that's going to have a better life.
It's just really an amazing thing. It's when you look around and you think, what a privilege to be a part of something like this. But everybody's coming together for a really common goal, and that is always my favorite moment, always my favorite moment.
We need to thank everybody who donated money. We could not have done this without the money that was provided, and it's an ongoing process.
And thank God for the volunteers that took such good care of them and helped place them in wonderful foster homes and wonderful adoptive homes.
It's good to see that they all wound up pretty much healthy, happy dogs, even after what they've been through.
She looks more like a wolfhound than she did when we first found her. Yeah. You look like you were probably more greyhound then.
You're a long way from there now, aren't you? Yeah.